For swatch number 1, I am using US size 7 4.5mm Japanese size 8 stainless steel knitting needles. The brand I'm using are called Chopsticks. You probably haven't heard of them. Chopsticks brand knitting needles feature a very blunt tip, a long taper, and the added bonus of being machine washable. My noodle for this swatch is a worsted weight noodle of the authentic Japanese ramen noodle convenience store brand. For swatch number 1, I'm using a slip knot and a backwards loop cast on, and will be knitting my swatch in garter stitch. The noodles are very short, so I thought that I would knit all the way to the very end of each noodle, since there was no way I was going to weave in any of these tails. My thought was the short little tails that were left over would be more tidy. This ended up being a big mistake. For swatch number 2, I thought it was time to employ a thicker noodle, since the noodles in swatch number 1 kept breaking on me. For swatch number 2, I'm using an Aran weight noodle. I'm continuing to use a backwards loop cast on, though I have omitted the slip knot start in this swatch. I also thought that it would be a good idea to do a stockinette stitch swatch so that it would make a nicer looking finished object. And my plan was to knit 1 row per noodle, leaving the long ends on the edges, which I could later cut off for a neat and tidy final picture. This also ended up being a huge failure. For swatch number 3, I returned back to my worsted weight noodle and decided that since these were single ply noodles, I might have some more success with maintaining the strength of the noodle by plying it into a 2-ply yarn. Here I have knit a stockinette stitch, again using a backwards loop cast on, with mild success. For attempt number 4, I have gone up to a 3-ply yarn, holding 3 strands of worsted weight noodles together, again using a backwards loop cast on and a stockinette stitch fabric. At this point, I decided this was the best I could do. I thought for a moment I might really be successful, but then finally on the last row, all of the noodles started to break and fall apart again. After reviewing the image of the challenge photo, I realized my main mistake was I'm not using restaurant brand noodles, obviously. So we'll have to try this again once the restaurants are open and I can go make in a huge mess and embarrass my spouse by trying to knit at the restaurant. Now the question is, do I bring my own knitting needles to the restaurant so I can have my nice stainless steel Chopsticks brand knitting needles, or do I use the wood knitting needles, or chopsticks, provided by the restaurant?